Hello, and welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase with your hosts, Rita and Mel.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of RIME Entertainment Showcase. Today we are, again, no stranger to RIME Entertainment Showcase. If you tuned in earlier this year, we spoke to Mauli Jr. Bonner, and we'd like to reintroduce him to our actual show today as well. So again, Mauli J. Bonner is a film director, vocal director, and Grammy Award-Winning Songwriter. Welcome to the show, Mauli.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
And thank you for being our guest again, because I know last time we did cover a lot of interesting topics and really insightful conversation. So we're looking forward to this interview for sure.
I love it. I love it.
So let's look at your time within the music industry, because that's where your career started, and you worked with people like Ariana Grande, Camila Cabello. I mean, can you tell us about that journey?
Oh, geez, yeah. And it was a journey. And it wasn't the plan either. After I graduated high school, I grew up in Las Vegas, graduated high school. I came to LA because I was in a boy band and I was going to be famous. So I have to go to LA, And so I go to LA, I'm doing my boy band thing, and like years are going by, but we're still going at it. And I'm like, oh, it's gonna pop off any moment now because we're so good, And it did not. And I was dating my wife now at the time. And then she was like, so what's your backup plan? And I was like, backup plan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm in a boy band. You're welcome. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and so she was like, yeah, well, you need a something more stable backup plan. And I was like, I mean, if you want to get me into something on the side, you're welcome to, And so she put a resume for me together, and it was with teaching voice and whatever else, because I grew up, my mother was a vocal coach. Okay. And so I grew up singing. I knew the voice and how to make someone sing, because my mom, we had no choice in learning. We had to learn. And so my wife now put this resume together and put me out into these classes. I was teaching third graders. I was, 23.
Oh, wow.
And I was teaching these third graders how to clap on time. Is this okay, everybody? Good, Johnny, like that. It was just like a nightmare. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm in a boy band. This is not, And so I was doing that. And then that job led to me teaching at another performing school with older teens. And then that school led to another school that was like these, up and coming stars that really wanted to make it, And so one thing led to another. And then there was this reality show that was looking for an on-camera vocal coach. And it was actually a show called Dance Wars. Have you seen Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah.
So Carrie Ann and Bruno started this show, and they wanted to do like singers and dancers and get them to be able to compete against each other. So they tried this show out. And so they needed an on-camera vocal coach. And so I auditioned for it, or they came to the school, saw me teach, and like, yeah, you're the guy. I'm like, cool. So that was the beginning of my career that way. It all kind of happened within that year of my now wife, who had me teaching third graders. And then I was, now the vocal coach for reality shows.
Amazing.
And so that was the beginning of it. Yeah.
Wow. So what happened to the boy band then?
Yeah.
I mean,
listen, we're still we're going at it. It's pretty strong now. I had to let it go pretty quickly after that, because at that point now I was working pretty heavily and making money working. And I did realize, like, oh, we've been doing this for like 6 years. It's time, and so we're still really close, but I continued on teaching, and reality shows after 6 or 7 of those, and helping other bigger shows, like you hear shows, American Idol, The Voice, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it became independent labels who had artists, and they wanted me then to turn their performers into like A-list type performers. And that kind of became my niche.
That's brilliant. So, I mean, kind of going back a bit with, you know, I mean, part of your bio, you mentioned that you can actually turn non-singers into singers. How does that work? Because I'm thinking of getting some lessons, like, you know.
I am definitely a non-singer.
Listen, I'm telling you, you know, what's so funny is like, yes, anyone can sing. It's like a muscle. It's just a muscle. You know, there's some people that never played this sport before, but then after training, they become very good at it. It's like any other muscle in your body. You can train it, develop it, coordinate it. And so there's been artists that have, you know, I don't want to call people out, but there's artists that I've worked with that started off tone deaf. Like literally, our lessons were da da da. Can you hear that note? No, no. Da da da. No. Just tone deaf. And so for the first few weeks, it was that, and then we began doing vocal leases and developing their voice. A couple of years later, they made it big, and they're a big star now.
Wow.
You know, right? And so it doesn't mean that everybody can be a huge star, but everyone can learn to sing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's amazing. So there's still
okay. Oh, you're excited. All right.
But I think it would be the practicing. I think that will start annoying Mel. Just be like, oh,
I'll just get my my headset, just you know.
Yeah.
Soundproof the walls at least. Sorry,
yeah, some noise cancellation stuff.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, that's amazing. So obviously, you know, kind of switching from vocal coaching, and then obviously you moved into filmmaking. What was that transition like?
Goodness, that one was, it was a whirlwind because I did it so quickly. So I was, you know, doing film like with the first film that I did, his Name Is Green Flake. You know, after writing the script, we were shooting the film 3 months later. So it wasn't this development of time and studying the art. It was not. It was like, you know, herding cats. Hey guys, yeah, it's happening. Come on. No, you're in. Yep, we're gonna be going in 2 months now. 1 month, come on. So it was just herding people until we're about to shoot. It's time to go. And then I realized the day before that I was the director, and I was like, oh no. YouTubing, you know, when to say action, when to say cut. And I'm like, oh goodness. But I realized when I was on set, I was comfortable, and I was like, oh, wait. So I know this, directing people, you know, teaching someone to give their most authentic performance. That's what I do in music. And so it was very natural to make that transition into doing the same thing with actors and getting them to be their most natural self. With artists, and you think of your big stars, you know, what I try to do is make them believable, you know, because us as audience members, especially after these reality shows, we're all judges. We're all like,
True.
no, you know, we do. And the best artists in each of our lives are the ones that connect with us, not necessarily the best singer, but it's something about them that you feel connected to, you know.
It's true, definitely.
Yeah, it's about the energy of the person.
Sure.
Yeah. So what would you say is the difference in terms of the music industry and the film industry that you've noticed?
Well, with the music industry, there's less pieces of the puzzle, you know, so you can be a fantastic artist and you connect yourself with a great producer and a great manager, and you have a pretty good shot of doing some good things. You know, with film, there's just so many pieces, you know. It's really like, they're both a puzzle, but then you have your 12-piece and then you have your 200-piece puzzle. And so with film, it's that 200-piece puzzle that each piece matters, you know. And so in music, I find that someone can start from nothing and get to something very significant a lot faster than somebody in film.
Yeah. What do you say was probably your most challenging part when you were kind of working on His Name Is Green Flake? I'm throwing it out there.
Oh, you know, oh gosh, I'll say this. I'm a nice guy, you know, but I'm also not. have no
There's a
problem.
slide to Mauli.
You know, because I am married to the project. That's who I'm loyal to, you know. And if someone is preventing the project from being the best it can be, and you're the director or you're the producer, you have to be able to cut that person away from the project. And so, and because I want people to feel good and do good, it is difficult to let someone go. And so I had to do that a couple times on set because I realized, listen, we're shooting this thing in less than 2 weeks. If I lose a day or 2 days because someone is not capable of doing what we need, I've just ruined the film because I want to give him another shot. There were no second chances on His Name Is Green Flake. As soon as I realized, okay, I don't think they're going to be able to do it, I had to let them go. Thank you. And the next day somebody was in. And so that happened a couple different times, and that was difficult. But with music, you know, I've had to do the same thing, you know, with working with tours for artists. You know, one time I was working on a Fergie tour, and she needed background singers, and we had these background singers, and we sent them all the music, and we're going to have a few rehearsals, and then we were off and running. Not a lot of time. Background singers came in. One of them didn't have their stuff memorized. Great singer. Before we even got started, I had to let her go. Because if she couldn't come in and hit the ground running, then I'm not correcting her talent. I'm correcting her work ethic, and I can't do that. You know. And so letting people go is the hard part.
It is definitely.
But do you think, obviously, having had to do that, it's developed you as a person as well, you know, because there is that emphasis, okay, being nice, being supportive, but at the same time having to be almost ruthless as well, which has developed you as the talent that you are, the person that you are?
I think it helps. I really do. I think there's also a trust that gets built by those around you when they believe that you're loyal to the project, that you will do what's best for the project. Then they too want to do what's best for the project and for you. You know, so it has developed me to be able to do what needs to be done. And finding the best way to do that is also important, because I don't want anybody leaving embarrassed or feeling like, oh, they're not good enough, you know, but it doesn't mean that they fit everything. There's just not a fit for everyone.
Exactly. And all different, you know, projects are always different. So it could be with that particular, it was not for them at that particular time, but
exactly,
timing is you know, it's got a lot to do with that.
Oh man, I can't tell you enough, you know, and just because it didn't work for this, they still might be the best focus puller out there, but not for the shots I'm shooting.
Exactly.
Or the best makeup artist out there, but not for what I need, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, because you're working on quite a few projects within, like, in relation to the film. Can you share with us a bit about those?
Yes, sure. So, you know, halfway, well, not halfway, at the end of the film, you know, and I'm thinking, this is it. I'm going to be rich. It's the best film here, best film there. Thank you, Lord. I see it. I get it. Yes. You know, and I realized then we were going to go celebrate by a monument and take a picture of the cast and crew. And because the lead character in the film is a pioneer hero. He did some incredible things in American history. And so I just assumed that this enslaved pioneer was being honored somewhere. And when I found that he wasn't, that's when I realized what was driving me, because I didn't know, why am I pushing so hard at this? Why is it so important? It was that he is represented, and others like him, other enslaved Americans who did incredible things for our country, needed to be honored and weren't. And so right now, all of the proceeds that come from this film are going towards building a monument to honor them, so that their family, their lineage can be recognized, and so that others who are doing things for the first time, because we're all pioneers in some way, but we can look to others and say, wow, I can be like them. I'm represented there. And so that's a big project right now, is building a monument to honor Green Flake. And then the second thing that I'm working on is I've been reached out to so many groups from Africa. And so I'm going to be taking the film to Africa and doing screenings throughout Africa.
Oh, great. That sounds so exciting.
Yeah.
And oh,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, you've got our full support on that.
Definitely.
So whatever promos you need there,
Just let us
we'll
know.
be putting the word out.
Wow.
But so, I mean, I know on your journey towards this project now, you've had some real special sort of miracles and people that have kind of passed you by that you've met. Can you share with us a little bit about that story with some special people that you met?
Yes. So, gosh, there's been miracles the whole journey, really. And it just continues. And the most recent was, there in the church that Green Flake, who's the main character in the film, the church that he was a part of, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, or you may know them as the Mormons, the Mormon church, this big church, right? He, to do this monument, I needed their support. And I didn't know how I'm going to get their support. How do I get to the people at the top? But one day I was just walking after eating lunch one day, and I saw one of the apostles in the church. There's these 12 apostles, and I'm like, I think that's one of the apostles. And I go up to him, and it was. And I talked to him about Green Flake and about what the film is and what we're doing. And he was like, okay, write me a letter. And I'm like, a letter? We're here now. He's like, well, I need an official letter so that I can move forward with what you're talking about. I'm like, okay. So he tells me where to write the letter. I do that. And that was it. We took a selfie at 5:32, and that was it. The following week, I was in the same city, not the same place, but the same city. And I was just driving. And I was looking at this picture of all of the apostles. There's 12 of them. And I was like, I think that's another apostle. It looks like, and he was, again, just walking. And I looked across the street, and there's this like Secret Service type guy, like walking parallel with him. And I'm like, oh, that's gotta be him. So I go up to the guy, and I'm like, hey, Elder Gong. And that was the apostle's name. He's like, yeah. I was like, can I walk and talk with you? Sure. That little Secret Service guy's freaking out, like, how do I get across the street? So I was like, my time is limited. Let me. Yeah. So I talked to him and tell him about the film. And this is a week later. In the beginning, when I first talked to the first apostle, Elder Razband, he didn't know much about what I was talking about. The next week, that guy knew, this elder. And he was like, yes, heard about it. Yes, the film, Green Flake, that's right. And he was telling me what we have going on and what's happening next. So I was like, okay, so they're talking about it. It's incredible. Okay. And I was like, well, you kind of blew up my elevator pitch because you know everything. So I guess let's just take a picture. And I took a picture, and I looked at it, and it was 5:32. And I was like, oh, that's so funny.
Wow.
5:32. Wow. And I just thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
So the following week, 6 days later, it was a Thursday. And I don't know how spiritual those who are watching are, but I am. Like, I believe in divine intervention. I believe in a higher being, and feeling guided and directed. And so I had this feeling that I needed to be in Salt Lake City, and because that's where the church was established, really, when they migrated across country. They went to Salt Lake City. I felt like I had to go to that city at 5:32 the next day to meet someone. And I was like, what is that feeling? Why do I feel like I have to be there somewhere? So I got down on my knees and I prayed, and I was like, Lord, do I have to be there? Do I have to be some? And it was like, I felt like I needed to. And so I said to my God, and I was like, well, Lord, I will go, but tomorrow. But not tomorrow, not Friday, Saturday, because I told my wife she can work and this can happen and whatever else. And I decided that's what I was going to do. The next day came, Friday came, and I'm making lunch for my kids, doing what I had to do. But that feeling didn't go away, that I needed to be there at 5:32. And I was like, oh, man. And I realized that would have been the first time that I didn't act on that gut feeling, that spiritual prompting, that whatever that feeling is that makes us think we should do something. This would have been the first time I didn't act on that with this film. And that scared me, because everything has moved so quickly. So I was like, oh, I need to just do what I'm supposed to do. And so I call my wife, tell her to come home, or ask her to come home. And she comes home. I'm booking my flight as I'm driving to the airport. So I'm driving and booking a flight on my phone as I'm driving to the airport. It's a 1:43 flight. I get to the airport at 1:43 and I'm late. I missed it. And I was like, well, at least let me go in the airport. So I did what I was supposed to do, at least, you know. And so I go into the airport and Delta person says, what flight are you on? And I'm like, oh, the 1:43 to Salt Lake. I missed my, he's like, it's delayed. You can make it. Like, oh, okay. So we hustle through. We get to the airport. I land in Salt Lake. It's 5:05. I call my Lyft. I get in the Lyft at 5:18, and now we're driving into Salt Lake City. It's pouring rain, and I'm like, come on, come on, come on. We get into the city, 5:28, and I'm looking around, and there's nobody out. I'm like, what is, maybe Utahns just don't like walk in the rain or something, because there's nobody out. And I'm like, how am I supposed to meet somebody? There's nobody. I'm like, is it the Uber driver? Is it the Lyft guy? Is this who I'm supposed to, you know? So I'm like, can you let me out? And so he lets me out. It's 5:30 and I'm just in the city somewhere and walking. And then I'm like kind of freaking out. And I'm like, wait a second. The other two times I wasn't looking for someone. I wasn't searching for anything. I was just where I was supposed to be. And so I was like, well, I'm here. Felt I should do it and I've done it. And that's what's most important. 5:31 comes and I go and I get under this big tree to get some shade from the rain. Yeah. And I'm just standing there, the only one outside, and I'm kind of like almost laughing to myself, like, this is so crazy, but I'm here. Yeah. And then 5:32, and I'm like, okay. And then a car pulls up about 50 yards from me. And I look down and a man gets out of the car and he stands under a tree, just like me. He just stands underneath the tree. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And he's just standing there. And so I was like, okay, that's him. So I approach him and I was like, hey, my name's Mauli. I made this film. His name is Green Flake. And we were just talking about you. And long story short, this man is the presiding bishop over the church. The presiding bishop oversees everything. He oversees all of the buildings, all the monuments, all of the entities that are owned by the church. And he is the last piece of the puzzle that I would need to talk to in order to make this monument happen. And so 5:32, 3 weeks in a row, I met all of the people that are a part of that division. And it was like a miracle. And so, yes, that is a special and incredible situation, but it has been happening throughout the whole way, you know? And so for me, what that's taught me is that if you just do what you feel in your spirit, in your gut, you know, because there's got to be some of that. It can't just be checks and balances. There's got to be intuition that you're following and going after. When you do that, then the next piece will make itself evident to you. So it's great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, because it's all about what you put out into the universe and that reflecting back.
Yes.
It sounds like also that making the film as well, it's like there's that purpose to making it, and then the doors have opened even more for you to continue the journey with the film, and as you said, you know, just being led by these miracles that are happening. And it's just like, since making it, because you could have easily said, okay, this has come to me, I'm not going to step in the director's shoes, I'm not going to, you know, because I've not got the experience. You could have easily shied away from that, but you didn't. You opened yourself up to the challenge, and then you continued the journey. And it's all of these, it's all meeting, now all open because you made that choice. And
yes, and to your point, you know, I can't tell you how many the doors, they look closed as I'm running, because I'm running. I just don't have the patience to walk. So I'm always doing something fast, you know? And so I'm like going and I'm like, that door is closed, but that's where I gotta go. And as soon as I get there, boom, something happens, the door's open, you know? And so to your point, where with the universe, it responds to us.
Yeah.
So when we're moving in that direction, things start to open up and align with us. But if we sit and contemplate and overthink and, well, maybe not, let me think and wait and prepare, you know, yes, there is preparation. Yes, there is thought that goes into it, but the action is the most important part.
Yeah, because that's faith, isn't it, when you take that action?
Boom.
Exactly. There we go. So inspiring, Mauli, honestly. Always every time we have a conversation. Brilliant. I mean, his name is Green Flake. This movie obviously is, I mean, it's a touching story. It's happened in reality. It's you know, your heart was so connected to it in making it, which also led to you winning Best Director. What was that feeling like when you won that award?
Oh, I was terrified, actually. I was like, oh no, they've messed up. And now they're gonna come to my house and like take an award from me, and it's gonna be so awkward. I'm like, or maybe they're watching the wrong film. Oh no. Like I honestly, I haven't even gotten to the point where I'm like, yes. Because the way I shot that shot, yeah. Because my vision was that, you know, I don't have that story, that director's responses to the, you know, and so I'm so critical, you know, to the bitter end, you know, it's always cleaning, fixing. Okay, it's gone, you know, okay, on to the next thing. I haven't had time to really celebrate anything. So hearing the feedback, I was worried that they're watching the wrong film, or they're gonna out me, you know. And so I realized, okay, they've seen the film. The film is good, you know. I did a good job, and so that just gives me confidence to push the film harder, you know, because you never really know as a creator how good it is until the audience responds. You may think you know and feel you know, but until somebody else gets to see it, that's the real eyes.
Well, definitely congratulations, well deserved.
Such an amazing film.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you've recently wrote a children's book with your wife. Tell us about
Yes, so that was awesome. That was last year we wrote that book. You know, we have two little ones. We have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and we wanted to talk about, you know, some of the things that are going on now in the world, and their worth, and their acceptance, before any of those feelings of questioning it came about. You know, we might have been a little bit late to it. My son was looking at a picture of angels, and it was all angels that looked the same skin, same hair, and it's a beautiful, beautiful painting. But then he was like, "Where's the brown angels? Are there brown angels?" And I'm like, "Of course there's brown angels." And he's like, "I don't think so," because he's looking and he doesn't see them. And I couldn't find something with children, especially being underrepresented, that can lead them to feel, well, gosh, do I fit in? Am I good enough? And, you know, and that can start at an early age, them feeling that way. And those who are represented as the majority can look at somebody who's different and feel like, do they not fit in? Are they not good enough?
Exactly.
So it hurts everyone. And so I realized that my wife and I, that we needed to create content for our children to talk about our differences, boys, girls, brown, tan, white, black, you know, and how beautiful those differences are. And we are still all siblings. We're all children of God, all here on this earth trying to figure it out all together, you know, so it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, you know, you just kind of telling us more about this. I mean, again, you know, if you think about our previous, you know, generations before us, they're not used to seeing content with so many different cultures and backgrounds and skin tones and all the beauty that the world has got. So it's, if anything, it's there for the children, but it's also nice for the adults to see actually now this is now it's being pushed. It's more accepting now, where we're trying to change the world as best as we can. So, you know, thank you to you and your wife for stepping in that direction, because it's very inspiring to a lot of people.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. We do realize the need for it for adults and children, you know, and I think adults, parents, aunties, uncles, like, we want to be able to make sure that our little ones are exposed to all cultures, you know, because as much as we don't want our child to run into a situation where they feel like they're getting picked on because of their differences.
Exactly.
I think equally as painful is having some little one that you love being the one that is doing the damage.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that for their child. So it's a tool for us all to help our children on both sides.
Yeah. And also, as they grow up, they will become parents, they will become grandparents, that they can share this with their children and, you know, the younger generation. So just by starting that, definitely. Any plans for more books?
Well, you know, so this first book is called A Child of God, and we're already talking about doing more books together. You know, my guess is there's going to be a number of books, and we may just spin off of that title, A Child of God. But we know that it is something that's needed, that's wanted, and that is safe to have in the home. Because I think a lot of people are just worried, you know, like, wait, is this good? Is this, you know? And so it's something that is safe for any home. You know, safe is, I use the word safe because we don't know what other people teach in their home. But any home that wants goodness and unity, it's for that home. You know,
What was, just a sneaky question, what was it like working with your wife on this project?
Oh, it was so hard. It was so hard. I'm like, goodness. I'm like, so how about this line? Well, she's like, well, no, I'm thinking, because if we change it to this, I'm like, yeah, but she's like, well, go ahead and do it. You're the writer, I guess. Like, no, babe, it's an equal thing. Well, it doesn't seem very equal because as soon as I just told you, like, okay, so, you know, so it's marriage. It's marriage, but it's awesome. She's an educator. You know, she's also a therapist, and so she's got the words and the direction and sensitivities that I don't, and I've got the rhyme. You know, so it's a really great combination.
Amazing.
It sounds, I love the way you both complement each other, because in that sense, like just when you mentioned your journey in the music industry, how it all started from the boy band situation, moving into like teaching as well. She was a good support for you, and you know, guided you through that. Teamwork. You know, I think that's beautiful to have in a marriage, for sure.
Oh man, it's everything. It's everything. Like she, you know, she does a great job of saying the things that need to be said, and then her not saying certain things, you know, especially early on when I'm celebrating things that are like good for my ego. Like, oh, we're getting on. Oh, great. That's awesome. I'm like,
and then silence.
What yeah, that doesn't sound
silence.
Yeah. No, she's like, no, that's good for you. I'm like, okay, yeah, good for me. And I'm realizing, like, you know, the boy band thing was feeding my ego, not thinking of my future, my children, my whatever. And just her delicate way is so good for me. So good for me. So I love the idea of having a partner, and those who aren't married, having that sibling, having that best friend, someone who can just be honest with you, but you know they love you and they trust you and you trust them.
Yeah, we've definitely got that down.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right. So, I mean, you're obviously very inspirational, but what inspires you to keep going?
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, if I'm being honest, I really love helping people. It's my guilty pleasure. I just love being able to help someone realize their ability.
Yeah.
You know, something that they're trying to do and I can help them get there, or something that they want to do. And if I can help them be better at it, you know, it really feeds me. And so I think that's why in the music industry, it's helped me so much. It's been a great match for me because, you know, even though you think of these big names, the Katy Perry's, the Fergie, Ariana Grande, Kesha, these artists that I've worked with, they're just regular folks that happen to make it. So they have the same insecurities that anyone has when they're singing, when they're performing, and to watch them develop and get stronger and gain confidence, it's everything to me. And so as long as there's people who want to be better or do more than they're doing, then I have a place to feel fulfilled, because that really feeds me. And I found that when you're serving other people, the best of you comes out.
Yeah.
You know, like that's when you're like doing your best work, when it's because you really want to help this person. And so I'm hoping that it just continues. I keep running into more people that want to do better and are willing to do the work, because they'll do it. I mean, quick stories, like there's an artist, gosh, it's just tough with artists, because it's like, do I say their name or do I not?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's one, Kesha, and we had, do you guys know the singer Kesha?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I was called in to help prepare her for her shows, you know, and get her in shape and ready to be able to sing and do everything she had to do. And, you know, she was a partier at the time, super partier.
Yeah.
And I told them that when I show up, make sure she's got a sports bra and some running shoes, because for her, and it's different for every artist, we were going to be running and singing her set and working on her breathing and all of these things.
Yeah.
And so I get there to her place, and she doesn't have any of those things. And I guess she wasn't aware. So she's got no bra and flip-flops. And I'm like, well, we have the workout to do. She's like, that's fine. She kicks off her flip-flops, wraps her arms around her chest, and we start running, you know, and we worked out pretty hard. And I pushed her till you know, I say, you're gonna throw up or cry. And I warned them ahead of time. I said, and I don't deal with fake cries. So it's a throw up or it's a real cry. And she was willing to do that. And so I love that. I love seeing artists that are all different, but what seems to be the thread that seems to go across them all is that hard work. Is that they'll just do what needs to be done.
Exactly.
So it's not because they're the best singer. When you look at these artists, you're like, really, them? They made it? Their work ethic, I guarantee you, it's so good. So good. That's the common thread with all of them.
It's that willingness, isn't it? It's like, here, you work with me, and they're like, yeah, I can do this, just throw me in it. And I think that's the most important thing about success, is that you're willing to throw 100% or 200% of yourself into that, which is so important.
Yep, regardless of your fears, because the fears are going to be there. Like that goes without question. So you're going to feel uncomfortable, you're going to feel like you're not good enough, all those things. Yes. So now let's do what we got to do. And so it's a matter of, are you going to do what needs to be done despite all those feelings?
Yeah. I mean, we may have obviously answered this in what we've just discussed, but what would you say is the one thing that is holding a lot of filmmakers and singers and songwriters back from actually going for their dreams and doing what they love, from what you've seen and what you've experienced?
Okay, well, that's a tricky combination, because it's a combination of not knowing what they're best at and not loving what they're best at. And so you could be a filmmaker that didn't realize that what you love is writing, you know, but you're pushing so hard. Okay, I got to make this film, and you don't either have the energy or the outgoingness to talk to people and say, this is what I need to get done. But you love the writing process, and you think that you're the director, and maybe you're not. Or you think that you're the director and you're actually just an artist. You want to be the cinematographer. You love looking at the beauty of the shot and the lighting. And so just narrowing down, what is the specifics that I really love about this project? And if you pour your energy into that, odds are that's what you're actually best at. And so that way you're not spinning your wheels in an area that isn't your skill set, where you're not strong there. This is, you know, one thing I tell performing artists, the singers, is, you know, you lead with your strengths, and then we, on our own time, we develop your weaknesses. You know, so we're going to be working your voice, and you're going to be cracking and breaking and hitting bad notes, because we're going to be getting better and stronger. Just like you're at the gym, you're running on the treadmill, and you're tired and you're sweaty and you're sloppy. You don't stop because, oh, this isn't cute anymore. that's when you're pushing to burn those extra calories and whatever else.
Yeah.
And so then when you go out in the world, you put on what looks great as you develop your body,
Yeah.
you know? So, and so we have to make sure that as we are developing ourselves in whatever creative space that is, we don't just do the things that we're developing. Well, because I want to make a film, now I'm going to be directing people, or because I want to make a film, I'm going to be the writer. You may not be the writer. Keep writing, keep working on that. But what is your specific skill set? So I think that's what holds people back, is not knowing what they're best at, and then not loving that, what they're doing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I like that, because, you know, again, we can always go through like the generic stuff that holds people back, but this is really nice and specific. So I think this is going to get the viewers thinking. It's definitely going to get me thinking. Like, I'm already thinking about, what am I actually gonna? But yeah, so I think this is amazing. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of advice and tips, you know, to our viewers and to anyone that is aspiring to become a filmmaker or a singer or within the music industry. Is there any other particular advice you'd like to offer or share with our viewers?
Well, I'll elaborate on our last thing. You know, early on, I don't know if you guys remember the group. Camila Cabello was in a girl group with Normani and Fifth Harmony.
Yeah.
Right. And I kind of had to have the same conversation with them, because when you're in a group setting and, you know, Normani's doing a turn in the splits, well, I want to do something too. It's like, wait, you just want to do something? You want to do what she's doing? Or Camila Cabello is doing this awesome run. Why are you giving her all the awesome runs? I want to hit. It's like, okay, but you're great at singing the high notes. And so what we don't want to do is, just because other people are doing it, we want to do it too.
Yeah.
And then we look the fool because we don't look good or sound good doing what we're doing, because we just want to do, they're doing this shot, so I want to do this shot. Or they're writing the jokes, so I'm going to write the jokes. What are you best at? Because exposing our weaknesses, that takes away all the attractive. I use the word sexy, and I hate the word. It's like, it sounds like a grimy word, sexy. Yes, it's like, it's just, I don't know a better word, but it's like, just imagine like there's this sexy man that walks in the room, right? And the women are like, oh my goodness. And then the music comes on and he just starts, yeah, are you guys feeling that? You know, right. And so now it just keeps going further down and further down. And then he just starts trying these things, or maybe he's coming up to you and shooting these lines. Hey, and you're like, oh man, you were so cute. You were so cute. Right. So it's like, we all have an opportunity to be the best of what we are. But as soon as we start doing the things that we think we're supposed to do, we lessen our sexy, what makes us attractive, what makes us good, what makes us great. And so you want to lean into your strengths and develop your weaknesses on the side, in your room.
Yeah,
like my singing.
So, did you get that, sister? On the side, in your room.
Out on the balcony.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't do that. We have a rep.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, what's so great about that is a lot of us feel that we, you know, okay, I've got this thing, I really want to do it, just run with it. And yes, that's good. But at the same time, like you're saying, is hold on, what is your strengths in this, and focusing on that. So it's also, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but almost like taking the time to really connect with you and your passion first before actually, you know, making sure, really narrowing down what is it you're passionate about and taking that step instead of just wanting to follow what everyone else is doing. Or
at least be open to the process while you're doing it. So say you are doing multiple things because you need to, or want to, but at least during that process, you can step aside and realize, like, okay, I really loved this, and obviously I did this part really well. You know, that's the important part. So even if you're in a position where it's like, well, I got to get it done, you should be able to, after that project, look back and say, this is my strength,
Yeah.
you know? And for me, what I realized is my strength is not in directing. My strength is not in writing. My strength was in herding cats, was in people. Like, oh, I can gather people and galvanize them to do their best. That's a skill. You know, that's something that if you're making a film, you'd say, Mauli, I need a team and I don't have these things. And you trust me to know that I'm going to get people that are going to be coming in ready to work.
Yeah.
You know, and I realized like that was my strength. And because I was able to get good people on board, it makes me get best director and I get pat on the back. You know, it makes me best film, not because I had these skills, because my skill set was in bringing in the right people and allowing them to do their best on set. So that was my skill.
Yeah. So that reflection, awesome. That's brilliant. Oh, Mauli, we could talk to you forever, honestly. But, you know, it's always sad when we have to say kind of our goodbyes and, you know, end the show. But
I know.
Before we do, like, where can our viewers find out more about you and also about the projects that you'll be working on with regards to His Name Is Green Flake and the monuments?
You know what I'm going to need to do? I'm going to need to update my website, maulib.com. So maulib.com. So that's where, you know, my music stuff is. And film, it was just a moment that turned into more than that. And so I'm going to be adding that onto my website. Right now at greenflakemovie.com, that's where you can find out more specifically about that film. But those are the two places and spaces. Thanks for asking that.
Oh, no worries at all. Again, Mauli, thank you so much for your time. You're going to leave us with, and we're going to have some real good discussions about what we spoke about. I think, right, okay, let's get pen and paper and start looking at our own strengths and weaknesses.
You know what's funny? Okay, I'll say this. Listen, there was a guy I was just working with, and he wanted to have a sit down with me and say, like, hey, what can I do? How can I do what you're doing? Because he wants to work with pop artists and whatever else. And his personality isn't that. It kind of rubs people a little bit the wrong way, but he's a great hard worker. And so what he didn't realize is that what he does great is putting together a show, not necessarily dealing directly with the talent, but putting the show together. And if there's joy in that for him, that's where his strength is. And so now he has to decide, like anybody who's listening now, you're going to have to decide, am I going to be okay with not being able to be the director? Am I going to be okay with? And if you're not, then do what you want to do. But just know you're sacrificing how good it's going to be. And if you're okay with that, go for it. And if you're not, then find that space. Find that space and find people that you trust, because, you know, there's a lot of hate out there. So it has to be a circle of people that you trust to be able to identify those strengths and weaknesses.
Amazing.
I think we're going to have a consultation with Mauli.
Yeah, you're going to have to get another business together, Mauli.
Oh, I'm already invoicing you. It's already sent. I just
Brilliant. Thank you once again, Mauli, and we wish you all the best with all of your projects and just keep doing you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Great talking with you.
You too.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more Rhyme Entertainment Showcase.